The following program is made possible with support from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Veterans Coming Home is a collaborative public media project between Wisconsin Public Television and the Kindling Group.
Support for this program is provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and from viewers like you.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Louisiana Public Square. I'm Beth Courtney, president of LPB. As part of our work with the National PBS Veterans Coming Home initiative, tonight we'll be highlighting the unique opportunities our state provides to post-9/11 veterans. Joining me to moderate is Louisiana veteran Cory Levy. Welcome, Cory.
Thanks for having me, Beth.
Glad you're here.
I am a veteran and served just over 8 years in the Army, and soldiers like me who joined the service after 9/11 make up less than 0.5% of the U.S. population. In previous wars like Vietnam, the percentage was higher. Because of this, when we return home, we often feel isolated and misunderstood. Transitioning back to civilian life becomes even more challenging when you feel that you're doing it alone.
I can imagine that would be really tough.
Absolutely.
You know, well, unfortunately, Louisiana has support, and tonight we're going to talk about several programs that are proven to make that journey easier. Over the next hour, you'll hear from representatives of several of these groups, as well as veterans who've taken advantage of their assistance. We encourage you to comment during tonight's show on Twitter at LPB.org. Use hashtag Vets Coming Home. We start with a look at some success stories of Louisiana veterans back home.
Gardening can help to restore hope. When you plant a seed, it engages that sense of expectation that something good is going to happen.
Dana Pollard is a clinical psychologist at the VA medical system in Pineville. The facility recently partnered with the Natural Resources Conservation Service in Louisiana to develop 3 therapy gardens for veterans. Rodney Baudouin works with veterans receiving inpatient mental health services.
And what we do, we get the guys to just come out and plant and pull and harvest and just get some type of sense of accomplishment. I mean, you start it off, you see it grow, you take care of it, you pick it, and also you can eat it.
Oh, yes.
Stuff that comes out of a garden has a different taste than stuff that you buy out of Walmart. It's just a, more natural taste.
Dwayne Durham, a post-9/11 veteran, has enjoyed the bounty and the benefits of the gardens.
This is a good idea as far as the garden because it breaks the monotony of just sitting around. I'm a disabled veteran and I come here quite often. It takes my mind off my problems, so really relaxing.
It's estimated that 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan conflict veterans live with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Pollard says horticulture therapy naturally creates a sense of well-being.
It increases their physical activity, which decreases the stress hormone cortisol and increases dopamine and serotonin, which are the neurotransmitters that make us feel good. One of the most important beneficial effects that I've noted among veterans I work with is that gardening can positively impact a veteran's self-esteem.
The NRCS also offers free assistance to veterans who want to dive deeper into agriculture through farming. For veterans like Stephen Nutting, who wanted to start his own restaurant, Louisiana has a statewide training course.
I attended the Louisiana Veterans Entrepreneurship Program 1 year after I separated from the service. So I had about a year of business experience, and the timing was perfect because I knew some things, but I didn't know a lot of things. Things like LLCs and S-Corps, your legal protections, generating capital, marketing and sales, working with employees, payroll, workers' comp insurance. I didn't know about any of these things because they were all provided for me in the service.
Stephen was in the inaugural class of the Louisiana Veteran Entrepreneurship Program. The project is a statewide expansion of the LSU Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for disabled veterans. Michelle Bouillon is an administrator.
For the Louisiana Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, they just have to have a business idea. They really don't have to be far along other than having that business idea. That program is 3 weeks of online and 1 day face-to-face, and they learn anything from just vetting their ideas to how they can go about actually getting investors, what they need to do legally, accounting-wise, and then we try to really connect them with mentors and entrepreneurs that have been successful and also have had some failures that they can share with those military veterans.
I was connected with a veteran advisor in Mississippi who has a food service background. And so just some of these things about inventory, ordering food, cash flow, working with employees, I was able to glean a lot of that information from him.
Our national program, at least 80% of our graduates have opened a business. And some of them have been very, very successful. We have some that are making millions of dollars a year after going through that program. And you know, we see that what they've learned in the military, the discipline, the structure that they learn in the military, the drive and determination, really translates well into being an entrepreneur.
Louisiana veterans who want to further their career through a college degree can receive assistance from the Federal Forever GI Bill. Monitored by the Louisiana Department of Veteran Affairs, more than 8,300 veterans have received books, tuition, and housing allowances. Brandon Dorrington found a place to call home 12 years after leaving the service in the country's only housing complex designed for veterans.
Bastion has helped me in the 13 months that I've been here more than any other organization that I've encountered since 2006, since I've been out.
Bastion is America's first intentional community for returning warriors and families with life-altering injuries.
Dylan Tate served in Iraq and developed Bastion to close what he saw as a gap in the continuity of veteran care.
It's designed from the ground up to support individuals who may be facing challenges related to traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress.
In 2017, the number of homeless veterans across America slightly increased, mostly on the West Coast. 70% of Bastion's apartments are dedicated to affordable housing. The current 76 residents include veterans representing 19 deployments since 9/11. Ann Washington enjoys being one of Bastion's civilian residents.
My area, my porch, is the porch where everybody comes and sits. They don't call me Ann, they call me Miss Ann, because I'm old enough to be their mother and their grandmother. And I love them. I love them like I do family. They are my family.
Residents commit to giving 6 hours of service each week to support their neighbors.
Whether it's weed eating, cutting grass, raking leaves, giving someone a ride to the store, it's a way for veterans to get outside of their shell, and it also gives them a sense of belonging.
Bastion provides on-site wellness programs, including legal and employment assistance, as well as therapy services.
What Bastion is doing is really the other half of the equation that the VA can't write a prescription for. We're talking about instrumental support. We're talking about social support on a level that hasn't been done before.
While I was in the military for those 6 years, I woke up every day and breathed the military. My biggest challenge getting out was finding something that was worth waking up every day for and putting the effort to do that job with 110%. I didn't find that totally until I actually came here to Bastion.
Well, here to share their own success stories is our studio audience. It includes veterans who have received assistance from the NRCS and veterans who have founded service organizations for other veterans, one which targets women. And we even have a civilian founder of a veterans social club. Welcome, everyone. In 2016, the Department of Veteran Affairs prepared a profile of post-9/11 veterans. Among its findings, post-9/11 veterans were more racially diverse than all other veterans, While 67% of men and 57% of women deployed were white, 20% and 30% of men and women were respectively not white. And 12% of men and 13% of women were Hispanic. While 32% of post 9/11 soldiers reported having a service-connected disability, only 17% of all other veterans did. Yet a lower percentage of post 9/11 veterans enrolled in VA services. 37% compared to 46% of all other veterans. And when compared to non-veterans, both male and female post 9/11 veterans are more likely to be in management occupations. And post 9/11 veterans of both genders are employed by the government at a rate nearly 3 times that of non-veterans. So let's start with where you are in your transition and what resources are available that help you get there. Ivan, what assistance did you get from the VA?
I had a problem getting my hand controls into my vehicle. They told me that I wasn't eligible because I didn't lose my legs in Vietnam. But the Lord sent me to Mr. Billy at the VA.
Louisiana Department of Veteran Affairs.
Of Veteran Affairs, yes.
Right.
And he introduced me to the colonel. And they told me, to say, well, that you shouldn't have been turned down because you have served.
Right.
And I'm 100% disabled.
Right.
I was awarded my vehicle to be mobilized so I can drive it myself because my vehicle was stolen from me once by having people drive me around.
Now, someone told me you did something very, very interesting
And what is
to
that?
get back and forth. Did you use
a plunger?
A plunger
Yes, I did.
to drive, and you used the plunger, gas and brake?
Yes, I did. I put my truck in drive, and I would hit the gas, but I would also watch my speed.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't go too fast and not pass my turning thing, and I would hit the brake.
Talk about determination. Ivan, thank you. We're going to get back to you, okay? Right now, we're going to go to Brandon and Lauren, the beautiful couple from Washington, Louisiana. Tell us a little bit about Cockeyed.
Cockeyed Farms. It was basically decided one day driving down the road, we're trying to figure out a name for our venture, a cockeyed adventure of transitioning from a helicopter pilot, scout attack helicopter pilot, and then into the government civilian world, and then based off of the problems that I was having through my medical unexplained illnesses, I decided to take a step back, our family decision, and we decided to buy a farm and try to figure out how to raise cows and or crops.
Interesting. Now, how has NRCS helped you along the way?
Well, through the Louisiana Grazing Lands Coalition Initiative, I was introduced to the NRCS and with the USDA, and they have, Stuart Garner from there has really opened our eyes to a number of the programs they have available to assist us. We've started off with their assistance in advising us what we needed to do to develop the farm, to get the basic infrastructure set up.
Absolutely.
And then past that, there's a cost share program that we've signed up for, and we're awaiting funding for that, which will help us to get fencing, water troughs, just numerous other culverts, simple things that you wouldn't really think about. And being a first generation farmer, it really opened up my eyes, and they gave us a full plan and a direction for
Absolutely.
what we needed to do.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. BJ, hasn't NRCS helped you out as well?
Yes, it has. I tell you, the guys that involved with NRCS have been very instrumental in my farm because I was just like Brandon. I had no idea of what direction to go, and I met Jerry Hall, one of the representatives from NRCS, and one of the things that he spoke to me was, "What is your dream? What is your dream, VJ?" And he wanted me to get my dream. So like Brandon was saying, there's so many programs that was getting that is available to farmers.
Right.
And because of that, because of what NRCS are doing, not just for the veteran, but for this state, I have been an advocate to go out and just tell everyone about NRCS.
Right.
It's really good program, good people, outstanding people.
Absolutely.
And I encourage all farmers to look into it.
And I also heard you a volunteer for NRCS as well.
Yes. In my travels, everywhere I go, I tell someone about it.
Beautiful.
I do.
Absolutely. Angela, Tell us about what you're doing, because you're doing something spectacular in our community. What is it that you're doing?
Well, I'm a retired Marine, and after 25 years, I had a hard time. Hoorah! That's right. After retiring, I had a hard time transitioning. Well, I think my husband had a hard time too, dealing with me. And I went to the VA and met a couple other ladies, and we started meeting every couple of months. And I realized I had a need to stay connected to that environment. Mm-hmm. And we grew from there, and we did a lot of advocacy and fundraising, and we started seeing that there was a gap between the veteran programs, but veteran programs that supported women. A lot of women are single mothers, or they're on their own, or a lot of the houses and facilities out there are more, not that they target men, but the common thought in the community is that veterans are men. Yeah. And women, we are a hugely underserved population. And
so what is the name of your organization?
Women Armed Forces Action Committee. Women
Armed Forces Action Committee. I think what you're doing is outstanding. Byron, we're going to come to you next. What is it you have going on as a veteran?
Well, first, Cory, I want to take the time out to thank LPB.
Okay.
From our last broadcast we had right here, and we set a stage for veterans coming back home. You know, veterans found out where to go and what services are available to them through LPB broadcast, through that broadcast we did. That was really great. And I'm hoping that this broadcast also leads in.
Absolutely. So to ensure that it is great, what is the organization that you work for? What are you doing?
I have Magnolia Care Center Veterans Home, where we take care of veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, brain injuries, and also, getting back to the other side, the different service organizations that led into our last broadcast, where, as veterans know, the American Legion.
Right. That's why you're wearing the hat, right?
That is why I'm wearing this hat. I'm now the vice commander for the American Legion this year. And, you know, hopefully we go forward on, because that is the number of veterans that's been contacting me for different services.
Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful thing, Byron. I'm very proud of you, and thank you, LPB, for the opportunity to give me as well. Now we're going to go to Emmerich. Emmerich, you're a civilian. You don't have a military history.
No, sir.
What is it that you're doing for veterans?
We are just getting them out into the great outdoors, out of their houses, away from their family, and just a good time with hunting and fishing and various outdoor activities.
What's the name of the organization that you're affiliated with?
It's Wounded War Heroes.
Wounded War Heroes.
Yes, sir. We were founded right outside of Baton Rouge. Still run our office from here. And little did we know that the great outdoors was one of the greatest healing places that God has to offer.
Absolutely.
It did a lot of getting the pills and different things out of their hands that they had to take every day to cope with regular civilian life. And
so would you say healing veterans, that was your motivation?
It is now. We didn't know that when we got into it. We'd like to claim we were smart and saw that, you know, kind of proactively, but we just want to give a little back. And through that, our family did a lot of outdoor activities, hunting and fishing, and we started it, and little did we know we'd be where we're at in 10 years, and have 116 events a year to offer to over 200 veterans in our alumni association.
116 events. Brother, you might not be in any armed forces, but you definitely a member. We're going to go to Mr. Andrew. How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
All right. Andrew, tell us a little bit about what you started and what it's about.
The organization is called Our Home, and it's not, a house isn't a home. A home is a place that you feel loved, accepted, and appreciated and wanted.
So is home an acronym?
It is.
Okay.
It is. So it goes into our mission statement, which is honor, opportunity, mindset, and encouragement. To honor our veterans and their families, to create endless opportunities, to change mindsets everywhere, and to encourage them to live the lifestyle that they serve to protect.
Absolutely, Andrew, that is amazing. Well, that's all the time we have for this portion of our show. When we return, we'll be joined by a panel of experts as we explore Louisiana veterans back home. Welcome back to Louisiana Public Square. Tonight we're discussing Louisiana programs that help veterans successfully transition back to civilian life. Joining us now is our panel. Jeremy Brewer is a United States Marine veteran of Iraq and program director at Bastion. Bastion is the country's only intentional community designed for veterans, located in New Orleans. Bastion provides health and employment opportunities for its residents. Julie Baxter Payer serves as executive counsel for the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs, which provides services to Louisiana's nearly 300,000 veterans and their families. She was previously Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor John Bell Edwards. Dexter Sapp is the Outreach Coordinator for the Natural Resources Conservation Services, or NRCS, headquartered in Alexandria. He works with grassroots and community-based organizations to promote USDA services to veterans and underserved communities. And we also have Michelle Bouillon. She is the administrator of the Louisiana Veteran Entrepreneurship Program, which helps veterans around the state take their business ideas from concept to reality. She is a faculty member at LSU School of Business as well. Before we go to our audience questions, first, if you can briefly tell me, from your perspective, what success have you seen in helping veterans transition back to civilian life?
Thank you. So at LSU, we offer two programs. We offer Louisiana Veterans Entrepreneurship Program and a national program, which is an entrepreneurship program for service-disabled military veterans. And the success we have seen, we've had about 100 veterans come through our program. We have veterans that are making millions of dollars in their business. We have veterans that have vetted their ideas, that have started business. And what we find is that what you all have experienced in the military, those of you who are veterans, the discipline you learn in the military is very beneficial for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So Dexter, what success have you seen helping veterans transition back to civilian life?
We've seen veterans that have found a new lease on life. Some of them have given up hope, but through agriculture, they have got to work with the soil. Some have animals on their farm, and this have given them a new lease, something to get involved with, to work in the soil and to plant something in the soil and see it grow and nurture it, and being able to harvest that vegetable. And while they may not be able to, feed a nation, but they can feed themselves.
Absolutely.
And so we've seen a lot of success with veterans there involved in our programs.
Absolutely. And Ms. Julie Baxter, what is it that you do?
Well, the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs is a place where it's really Veterans Day every day at the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs. But what I've seen in the time that I've been there is that veterans want connection with other veterans. They want to be able to have a place to serve and serve above self. And so a lot of what we see in helping to transition veterans back when they come home, we have 74 benefits offices around the state staffed with certified veterans assistance counselors, at least one in every parish, to help veterans connect with their earned benefits. We try to help. There's a big problem relaying your military resume back into the civilian world.
Absolutely.
We try to help to translate the resume. One of our most exciting new programs that we're coming online with this year is LaVet Corps, which is going to open veteran centers on campuses across Louisiana. Veterans need a place where they can come identify, learn how to navigate campus life, and how to serve together. So we're real excited about that.
And as executive counsel, how do you assist veterans with that hat on?
Well, we work very hard to make sure that if there's any legal questions that veterans have, that we help our assistance counselors to navigate those. We work with 5 veterans homes that has more than 700 veterans who live in our homes who've served and are our country's heroes. We have 4 veteran cemeteries that we make sure operate smoothly, where you can be buried with honor and dignity. Your family can remember you there. And we're building our 5th cemetery. We're breaking ground for it on November 5th in Jennings, Louisiana.
Wow.
That's going to serve more than 35,000 veterans and families in the southwest of Louisiana.
Amazing.
So we're very excited about that.
Very busy, I'm sure.
Yes.
So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm the program director over at Bastion in New Orleans, the nation's first intentional community for returning veterans and their families. And as Dylan kind of so eloquently put it in the video at the beginning of this program, we're kind of providing the other half of the equation, the half that the VA can't write a prescription for. We're providing community for our returning veterans and their families. We've got 58 apartment homes, 58 households. We've invited about 10 civilian households to come live with us to kind of normalize the experience of living in community. And kind of like Dexter's program, you know, we're a soil where the veterans can kind of flourish and grow, kind of in a holistic way.
So let's go to our participants for their questions. And we're going to start with you, Brandy. Okay. How are you today?
I'm great, thank
That's
you.
good. So tell us a little bit about Red, White, and Blue.
Okay, so I am part of the leadership team here at the local chapter for Team Red, White, and Blue, which is actually a national organization. They have regional chapters, and then they have local chapters that, you know, you can kind of start grassroots in each city. So we have several scattered actually in Louisiana, New Orleans, Lafayette, Covington, and Shreveport. And then of course we have a local chapter here in Baton Rouge. So we bring civilians and veterans together through mostly athletic endeavors, but also through some social events and things like that.
Okay. So what question do you have for our panel?
Well, I happen to be a yoga instructor who has recently teamed up with USS Kid to bring yoga to veterans and mindfulness and all of those things that we've started to see make an impact there. So I guess my question is, you know, to what extent, mainly I guess the VA is, are they, you know, referring veterans to alternative healing therapies? Are there, you know, are they offering those things? Are they referring them? Is there a resource available for them to kind of be encouraged to go in that direction?
Jeremy, don't you guys offer something like that at Bastion?
Yeah, so it's funny that you asked that, and we work real closely with our local chapters, Team Red, White, and Blue, but we, at Bastion, on the grounds, we have a wellness center where we're doing free yoga classes 4 days a week that are open to, they're geared toward veterans, but they're open to the community as a whole. And then, you know, you talked about mindfulness and things like that. So Dylan, our founder, and I are both currently in the process of getting certified through the Center of Mind-Body Medicine. So we're doing mind-body skills groups, and we're kind of incorporating all those things into our programs at Bastion.
Absolutely. So, Julie, any words of wisdom for her question?
Well, just I think that this group of wonderful folks that you have here tonight is what we're trying to encourage at the LDVA. What Wounded War Heroes has done, literally saving lives by allowing veterans to associate back with a veteran community on the weekends outside. What Bastion is doing, what Byron is doing, what Ivan found through the Military Family Assistance Fund, where you can make an application for a hardship. I mean, this was literally, I find a lot of times in our case, people confuse the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs with the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs, and the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs is your friend that's here to help you, and we work very well with our federal partners, but we help try to shorten that space between getting to the benefit or finding many of these private groups that are out there. I think it's so important that veterans see the love and the service coming back to them from all these private communities. It's not just the government that can serve the veterans. It's the communities and the individual farmers and businesses and folks who teach yoga and all of that. And so we try to, especially under Secretary Joey Strickland and Governor John Bell Edwards, cultivate good relationships across the communities so that when folks come to us, we know about yoga at USS Kid or we know about Bastion, and we try to encourage them to use those resources as well.
Absolutely. Now, Dexter, coming to you, how would you say NRCS applies itself to mindfulness? Because yoga represents mindfulness, but how would you say NRCS applies to mindfulness?
Well, case in point, our state conservationist, Kevin Norton, firmly believes in outreach, and we work through grassroots organizations. Jay Townsend is a perfect example with the Louisiana Armed Forces Foundation. Mm-hmm. But there is an agreement that we have with the Veterans Administration there in Pineville, whereby our state public affairs specialist, Amy Robertson, was kind of the brain thrust of that idea. Mm-hmm. But on the grounds of the VA, we have a Veterans Therapy Garden. And just to hear those veterans tell how they get satisfaction instead of them going to doing the downtimes at the while they're at the VA. Mm-hmm. Instead of them going to the smoke shack or watching TV, they can go out and work in those raised beds. Put their hands in the dirt there, weeding, watering, nurturing those plants, and then they've gone to not only nurturing, but they harvest those vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers. and they are making salsa, cutting up the cucumbers, putting a little vinegar on it there. So
absolutely applies to mindfulness.
Right, and they raised it right there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. Like raising a kid.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, almost. So we're going to go to Jay Townsend. So tell us who you represent and your question for the panel.
Yes, I'm Jay Townsend. I'm with an organization called Louisiana Armed Forces Foundation, and
you know this guy.
I know Dexter quite well. We've, our organization is dedicated to helping veterans transition home here to Louisiana and ease that process through working one-on-one, helping them navigate whether through VA benefits or what programs or organizations are available out there.
Absolutely.
And throughout the last 3 years, we worked with Dexter at NRCS and had a number of veterans that are in the process of how do I even get started, where to go, kind of like this couple. And we've helped navigate and clear land and get them ready to be able to apply for some of these grants and different EQIP programs that are available.
There's something interesting that someone told me. What are y'all doing with beekeeping?
Well, there's Louisiana Beekeeping Association is in the process of establishing a veterans program to help veterans start beekeeping in hives. And I'm an alumni of Wounded War Heroes, and we have numerous alum that got into beekeeping.
Wow.
Some that are paralyzed that do it for the calming. They said, hey, this is therapeutic. You know, I have to be still or else I'm going to be hurting for a little while and different things, and just mindfulness, just being a part of, taking their mind, focusing on
So
here and now.
I'm very interested with all the experience that you have. What is your question for the panel?
Well, my question is to kind of the Department of Veterans Affairs, or just out there. A lot of veterans ask, where is a website I could go to that could showcase all of the organizations that are legit in Louisiana, and not just running around or wasting my time, but that can actually benefit. And then also what events are taking place in what parishes, other than having to know about word of mouth or, hey, I'm part of this organization. And that's kind of a lot of veterans that are disconnected from the Veterans Affairs but are still involved with the grassroots levels. If there was some sort of clearinghouse or maybe a partnership we could establish moving forward to have just an easy one-stop shop for
all
veterans.
This information in one place.
Correct, just of where you're looking for.
All right.
Well, I have an answer.
Yes, okay, let's go. Absolutely.
It's vetaffairs.la.gov. It won't have a total list of everyone out there who's working. There's so many good folks in Louisiana, but vetaffairs.la.gov is the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs website. If you go on there and you put your zip code in, you can find your closest Veterans Assistance Counselor, and that is our benefits office. And they are very well attuned to what's available in each parish, and so you can talk to them. But I will tell you that we've really been concentrating in the last year or so under this administration of Governor John Bell Edwards to try to make sure that we are forming a database of veteran-friendly employers, that we are finding out how we've worked with the Louisiana Economic Development Department. LouisianaJobConnections.com is their regular job posting website, and they've actually begun to put some algorithms and some services in there to try to specifically reach out to military veterans to help them with their resumes. And every time we get a contact with something like you're describing, the Louisiana Beekeeping Association or other veteran-friendly entities, we want to share it.
Jeremy, what website would you say the guys and young lady, men and women at Bastion use as a resource?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and there are so many great organizations and great people doing work out there. I think a lot of us, even that are working in the space kind of full time, are still trying to wrap our heads around, and we're still learning about new things every day. But there are a few good places to go. LDVA's website is a good one. NOLA VFW, we're one of the fastest growing VFW posts in the nation, and we've got a resource page on our website that we're always trying to add to as we learn about new organizations. Yeah, that's a great question. It'd be great to have that database that you can keep adding to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So next we're going to go to Eric. Eric, What organization are you with? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a social worker at the VA in New Orleans. We cover the whole southeast Louisiana, like 23 parishes, the clinic in Baton Rouge, Hammond and Slidell, all the way up to Bogalusa, Oklahoma. I just want to thank everyone. We were talking about that. The VA, the federal VA, only can do so much, and it takes everyone here, the whole community, the whole village, to come together, and it's amazing what is happening for our veterans. I certainly appreciate all the veterans that I've served. I'm not a veteran, but I appreciate all your commitment to serving our nation.
Absolutely. Well, we have an amazing panel here.
Yeah.
And with your work in social services, is there any question that you would like to ask these wonderful people?
Well, I do want to, we have a homeless stand down coming up on October 27th. And if anyone on the panel or anyone would want to participate in that, we certainly would like to join that. We're always looking at different ways to collaborate and bring different organizations into the VA. We're talking about mindfulness, working with women veterans, all of that. We're trying to understand the pulse of what's happening in the community and connect.
Absolutely. So tell me, what exactly is happening on the 27th?
The 27th is, we're focusing on, it's for the homeless.
Okay.
And there has been an uptick, like we talked about earlier, there was an uptick on mostly on the West Coast, but even in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, there has been an uptick in homelessness nationwide.
So how many homeless individuals are we
At any given time, we had 200 to 250 homeless that are in shelters or in transitional. But at any given time, you may have 25, 50. It's the number is always dynamic. Yeah, and we probably have 20, 50 homeless that are living on the streets or in and out of shelters. So that on Saturday the 27th is a time where we're going to have primary care, substance abuse, mental health, dental, women's program will be there. You'll be able to get a meal, clothes, and it's not just for veteran homeless. This is for homeless within the city as well. And that's from 9 to 2, and it's beyond the main campus in New Orleans at 2400 Canal.
Okay, so what would you like to ask these individuals?
Well, what, in your view, since focusing on the homeless, what do you think we could be doing better to serve the homeless veterans in our community?
Michelle, we'll start with you.
I will mention this. Coming from the university perspective, we're part of a consortium that there are 10 universities, and there's several different groups of universities that offer free entrepreneurship programs for military veterans. Florida, University of Florida, I should not say that out loud here since I'm from that.
And you wear
no. They are actually developing a program for homeless military veterans to get them into entrepreneurship, to try to get them off, from coming out of homelessness to let's start a business. What could you do to support yourself? And so that university is right now working on that. All of the universities that offer programs, ours at LSU, are completely free to military veterans. We recruit from all over the nation, so you don't necessarily have to be from Louisiana. So someone from Louisiana, not that they could get there on their own, but they could go to that program, and they may pay for their travel. That might be something to look into.
Absolutely. So, and next we're going to go to Mr. Brewer, who is actually working at finding housing for people that are homeless. What are your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, so I mean, while Bastion isn't primarily a project and program for homeless veterans, I think the answer is kind of the same. And one, I mean, step one is you're here with us, right? We're just talking back in the room while we were waiting about how there are so many community organizations doing so much work, and to your point that the VA can't do everything. It's getting those frontline VA workers who are interfacing with veterans day to day the knowledge of all the things that are going on, and that it's not, the VA doesn't have to do everything itself. So it's involving the community organization, pulling us in, knowing the things that we're good at in the community that maybe the VA doesn't have the capacity for, or things that we can supplement. I think that's a big part of it.
Okay. Now, is there any portion of the housing that you guys offer that's set aside for like people might not be able to afford it normally?
Yeah, so a large part of the funding for the construction of Bastion came from low-income housing tax credits. So of our 58 units, 48 of them are low income. There are several of them who are subsidized even further through state programs like the permanent supportive housing. We have several veterans in our community who use VASH vouchers to pay their rent. So there's kind of a combination of things to support that veteran that's got that limited income.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Now, Eric, just a caveat on what these two people said. Working in social services, to answer your own question, what would you do to make it better now that you have this audience? One thing that you would do. Not everything, because we might be here all night.
I think it's continuing to that collaboration. It's the networking and reaching out. So it's an ongoing, just if we could have more forums like this so we really know what's going on. That's the hardest part, is there is so much going on. It's overwhelming, but how do we, where is that website that has all the information? Right. So it's continuing the dialogue and the communication.
So more networking within the village.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to go to Tanya Whitney. Tanya, how you doing?
All right.
Tell us who you're with.
My name is Tanya Whitney, and I'm with, tonight I'm representing Women Veterans of Louisiana.
Okay.
I would say that most of our veterans organizations locally are pretty incestuous. We all kind of belong to each other, work with each other. And that's part of what we do with Women Veterans. The initial goal of when Women Veterans of Louisiana was started was to provide military honors for female veterans.
Wow.
Because a lot of female veterans weren't requesting, particularly those who served in World War II through early part of Vietnam, because they never felt that they were veterans. They didn't feel like they deserved that honor. And so that was the initial, and we've now branched out into doing assistance. We try to get any woman veteran who's in need into the right avenues for support.
So what would you say? What would you say to a woman today? If you can talk to all the women in Louisiana that are veterans, what would you say to a woman that might not feel that she deserves these honors or this assistance or whatever it may be that all the men are getting? What would you say to her to make sure she understands?
You served, you are a veteran, you deserve all the benefits that our male brothers receive.
Absolutely. Y'all heard it first here. Tanya Whitney told you do it, so do it. Absolutely. Yeah. So Tanya, do you have a question for our panel?
Yes, I do. And one of the things where we've branched out within our group is trying to educate the public on the role that women have played within the military since the beginning of this country. And there's been some improvements, and I will say LDVA is more female friendly than it has been in the past, but there is still that line. So my question would be is, how do we get women veterans on the same playing field as our male brothers, through community and government support? Because there's still a lot of issues. We can say, well, these programs are out there, but majority of women veterans need child care to attend these programs, and they can't get it.
Right.
So, that's a hindrance right there for them getting to some of these benefits. So, how do we level that out?
We're gonna go to the farm. Dexter, I know this might not even be in your field, but I want to. That's why you're going to give a unique answer. You're going to give. I knew you wouldn't expect it, right? So, to her question, how would you answer her question?
Well, we have from an agricultural standpoint.
Okay, from NRCS standpoint, let's go.
Yeah, yes, we have a Women in Ag program. They've had a great success with that. They had a forum last year and going to have a conference coming up this year. But putting agriculture twist on there, that's a way to get women involved. with some of these things that's been traditional male or oriented, you know. I have a sister that's just recently about 25 head of cattle, and she drives the tractor, does the bush hogging, all these type things and so forth, and she get out of her slippers, her heels, put on the jeans, and can do things just as well as I can. So agriculture is a way for women to get involved, and we have the programs available through our environmental quality incentive programs. That's a cost share and technical assistance, just like Brandon and Lauren, they're involved with that, and BJ is involved with that as well. So I would look at agriculture as a way to get women involved.
It's a great question, and I think one is continuing that message that you said. You know, you're a vet, you served, you deserve all these things. The next thing is just kind of looking at all the role models like you, like Angela, you know, that are out there getting that message out, that are continuing your service even after you've exited the military. And then, you know, it's just continuing to put these things out. You know, the New Orleans VA, I know, is doing these women veteran events. Organizations like the Mission Continues are doing their women veteran leadership summits. So I think that's all part of it. And then something that we found at Bastion too is when you can do things that involve the families and involve the kids, you really increase engagement. So I think like you put all those things together.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Does Bastion have any programs directly for women?
So about 25% of our veterans that live at Bastion are women, and we are partnering with the VA coming up to do like these whole health groups that they're starting to run, and the first one that we're going to do is specifically for our sisters.
Absolutely. So Julie, we're going to go to you, and as a woman wielding such power, right? What would your answer to her question be?
Well, thank you for the question, first of all, and I would say that the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs has definitely, we've in recent years greatly increased the number of women in leadership positions, women in the Veterans Assistance Counseling offices, women on the VA Commission, which is the advisory board with the department. We've had several women veterans events where they get together across the state and have coffee together and talk about it. But I think the most important thing is for women veterans to express what they need, to come to, I know I've worked in East Baton Rouge Parish with Mayor Sharon Weston Broom's office. They want to reach out to veterans. So we're connecting them with local veterans groups so that they can know, and the Metro Council can know, what is it that they need. If it's childcare on the government level, we can begin to work with other state agencies to say, how can we partner, what benefits, and sometimes I don't like the word assistance, it's really earned benefits that these veterans have earned, and so we can help to partner that with other benefits that would fill the gap to allow women to go ahead and shine. And I know that we just put up a women veteran statue up in our Bossier City Veterans Home that just the community, it took the whole community, it was volunteers, did the sidewalks and the plants, and then and then the veterans in the home are just so proud of it, and we're going to put those around at other veterans homes, at our other 4 veterans homes. But it's important that I think women have a seat at the table and in leadership, and I'm sure they're in Wounded War Heroes too, so to be able to have a part.
So real quick, Michelle, what would you reply to her question?
We actually, the Consortium of Universities has established a program called VWISE, which is just for military veterans that are females, and it actually assists with childcare. It will actually provide some funding for childcare if the person has to travel to one of the universities. So it's specifically for female veterans that want to be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Do you feel like your question was answered?
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. And women everywhere, remember, she said it, go do. You've earned it. Take care of it. So now we're going to go to Keith Lawrence, the husband of Angela Lawrence. You are also a veteran. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Keith Lawrence. I'm with Women Law Enforcement Action Committee.
Absolutely.
It's my wife, Angela, by the way.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
I'm here to support. That's my job. That's what I do. I support. So whatever it is, I'm here for it. When you're talking about women's issues, I see it firsthand from a veteran standpoint, and women are grossly underserved. So I commend you two ladies for doing what you do. I guess my question would be about homelessness for women, and families. When a guy goes homeless, a veteran, he goes by himself for the most part. But if a woman goes homeless, she's taking kids with her.
Yeah.
So I would like to know about any programs that are available for, women, not guys, but just women, that can
Specifically.
more of a holistic approach to families, and getting them up and going and on their feet again.
We're going to go to you, Julie. What
Well, the first thing that our communications director, Alex Wan at the LDVA, would just shoot me if I didn't tell you this, is that you have to know the Veterans Crisis Line, and it's on our website at vetaffairs.la.gov. But you talk about women who, if they become homeless, there are children involved and all. We take calls like that at the department. We work with places like Volunteers of America and some of the veteran service organizations to try to provide help, and the federal VA when there's certain crisis times. And so you have to know that network, and you have to be able to reach out and know to go to the experts. I think it's great that places like Bastion and Byron's housing center there for veterans have access to actual experts in terms of mental health counseling and directing them to actual places that can fill their physical need.
Absolutely. You feel your question was answered?
Well, there's a whole lot of
Yes,
it's not really fair.
That was a tease. That was a tease. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a whole big conversation.
Absolutely.
I really love what you're doing, by the way. I mean, what you're doing is outstanding.
Thank
and I would like to see something like that on a local level here in Baton Rouge, in the greater Baton Rouge area.
Even in Lafayette.
So we can talk about that.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Cory,
Mr.
Byron
Byron.
Como with Magnolia Care Center, Veterans Home, also the American Legion. For LDVA, I'd like to know the 2 dates that the legal assistance for veterans in the community, what are the 2 dates that's available for veterans to go to, I call it 1755 Florida Boulevard, to receive that legal assistance that veterans really need out in the community?
Well,
that was one.
Thank you for that question. They need to call the East Baton Rouge Parish office, and the number is on, they can find it if they put their zip code in, the number's on vetaffairs.la.gov. But what I think Byron's talking about is we've just been able to work with the Louisiana State Bar Association and Southeast Louisiana Legal Services to provide at least 2 days a week in the East Baton Rouge Parish office some pro bono legal services. That's another thing that's outside of their benefits that many veterans might have, family, domestic law issues that they might want to just talk about with an attorney. And so the Louisiana Bar community is standing up and saying we want to help. The local Baton Rouge attorneys want to help. The LDVA is trying to put that together and bring pro bono legal services to veterans. We're starting in the East Baton Rouge office. We're going to extend to Ascension and Livingston and hopefully go around the state.
Absolutely. Now, in order to wrap this up, we're going to have to get some last words and comments from each of our panel members. So, Jeremy, we're going to start with you. What is your message to Louisiana, to all the veterans out there, members of the community? What would you like to tell them right now about what you're doing and about Bastion?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I like to say is that I mean, we're all in this together. I mean, that's what Bastion is built on. It's built on community, so physical, proximate community, but also like community of veterans, civilians who are serving veterans. We're all in this together. At the end of the day, veterans are human. Veterans are people, and veterans issues are human issues by and large. Even though we may have some unique experiences, and we may have taken some unique paths to get where we are. Thank everybody here for the work that you're doing and for serving, continuing to serve. I think that's why a lot of us joined the service in the first place. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We wanted to give back, and that doesn't end when you take the uniform off.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was Jeremy. Julie?
Well, first I want to thank Ivan Gaines for being here and being just an inspiration to all of us. For your persistence and being able to, through the MFA fund grant, to be able to make your car adaptive and be able, he drove here tonight and did everything for himself, and I just thank you so much, Ivan. I would just say to the civilians out there like me, just say thank you for your service to the veterans that you know, and just know that when they came home, what we know is that it might not feel as much like like home anymore, or they might not feel like the same person they were when they went over to serve. And so give veterans a chance to be connected in your community and to be part of Service Above Self in a mission to serve your own communities. And you can find that mission in your community.
Maybe even a second chance.
Yes.
Absolutely. Mr. NRCS,
Okay.
Dexter. Yes, indeed.
All right. On behalf of our state conservationist, Kevin Norton, I would like to thank BJ is one of our producers and that works with our field office, Brandon and Lauren, for hosting the Grazing Land workshop on y'all's place there. But NRCS has a home. You know, we have programs there that's available. We have not only from an employment standpoint, we have employed 14 veterans through our agency. Our flagship program, the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, this past fiscal year, we had around 33 veterans that enrolled about 2,100 acres into this program, worth over $707,000.
Wow.
So, and those programs range from anything from forestry, cropland type programs, pasture, a whole gamut of things there. So we provide the financial and technical assistance. And I've traveled all over the state doing outreach and I've used the term so many times that when it comes to outreach, we hadn't scratched the surface.
Right.
Because it's an ongoing daily thing of getting the message out there of these programs that we have available. And we try to get people to participate. And we have a special place in our heart for veterans, you know. And we're doing all we can to reach out to them to let them know that, look, we have something for you.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely going to be doing more to get involved.
That's right.
So, Michelle, what are your closing comments?
I would like to thank all the veterans just for your service and to tell you that if you are interested in starting a business or you are already in business and want to grow your business, reach out to us. If you just Google Veteran Entrepreneurship and LSU, you'll find our websites. Again, it's free programs for military veterans, and we service anyone here in Louisiana or out of state as well, as long as you're a military veteran.
Well, we've run out of time for our question and answer segment. We'd like to thank our panelists, Mr. Brewer, Ms. Payer, Mr. Sapp, and Ms. Bouillon for their insight on tonight's topics. When we come back, I'll have a few closing comments. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Louisiana Public Square. We encourage you to visit our website at lpb.org/public square. You can find contact information for all of the organizations highlighted here tonight. And while you're there, click on our Facebook or Twitter account links to comment on this show. Next month, Louisiana Public Square will explore LSU's holistic admissions process. Proponents say it allows for a more diverse student body, but opponents say it will endanger LSU's flagship status. Join us November 21st for an eye on admissions. Thanks for watching and good night.
For a copy of this program, call 1-800-973-7246 or go online to www.lpb.org.
Veterans Coming Home is a collaborative public media project between Wisconsin Public Television and the Kindling Group, made possible with support from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.